Good morning. How's everyone doing? So just like every video, I like to start off with a review. Let's look back at Friday. I believe it's this day here. Now some days are easier than other days. And unfortunately I wasn't home for this, and that's just how it goes. So if you notice, even from the morning, we get the crossover between the 80 and 50 MA, and prices going up, and by the time we get to about almost to open, we notice the price pulls back. I mean, if you do pre-market, you can take a long position here and get a 1-to-1, and then we took out previous day's high, which is this white line here, and then price pulls back. Now if you notice, as price pulls back, and along the MACD, I'm looking for any buys. Once again, if the price stays above that zero, I'm looking for buys, and so we get that fake out. It doesn't quite come down to the 1580, which is okay, because all we want to look for, if we're looking for longs, is we're looking for that consistent gapping in between, right? So anytime we have the red line below the 50 EMA, the blue line, that's telling us that buyers are in control and looking for buys. So what happens, we get this pullback off of 930, 936, and then we're targeting an entry at about 945. So your entry would have been right at 29,000 right here. And this day, I believe you can get I believe it was 11, or it might have been 10-to-1 return. But as you can see, like, had you been in this trade starting at 945, you can get 4-to-1 by about 10 o'clock. So 15-minute trade for a 4-to-1 return would be great. In terms of the time, 15 minutes. But yeah, and if you're looking to make another entry, you can. Once again, price isn't breaking that 50 MA. It's getting support off of it to constantly go long. Let's see. Yeah, even around this area here, right? Which would have been times that at about 1 o'clock. Take another entry for a 2-to-1 return. And then I believe this is Sunday. I want to think this is Sunday night. I was looking at this move. Didn't take it. It's a 1-to-1 return before it pulls back. I think I may have seen a pullback off the MNQ for an entry at this point. Yes, I think there was. There was this gap fill. Once again, this yellow part highlights the gap fill. My expectation is the gap would fill that. So an entry point at 312.5 definitely would have worked for the 1-to-1, and you're going to hold to get yourself the 2-to-1, right? Once again, you're thinking price will pull back, and hopefully you get a support around the 50 or the 80, which got off the 80, and then pushed hard to give you that 2-to-1 return. Now on Monday, it wasn't exactly great price action. I was at work, and these are the days where maybe it's better to have missed that day versus Friday, where I showed you was an easy day, right? You're gonna get those days, and just move on from it. So this day, price opens up right around here. Now this I didn't have drawn out before I left. At least I don't think I did. Or maybe I did. I think I possibly had it drawn out, I just didn't extend it. And this is the importance of extending the zone, this demand zone. So price moves up off of the open, breaks the swing high, and we get to this point here. And now price begins retracing. It takes out the high of day, which is right here, and continues, but doesn't quite complete the move up. Prices retraces back down, gets support off the 50, pushes back up. We have this lower high at this point. Price pulls back down and again goes up. Now this would have been a point where I probably would have looked to take an entry. We have a higher low off this point here. So I'm looking for the entry. And now, if it happens this quickly, my entry's up here, right? Unless, once again, you're trading it off without the indicators and you're going to take the break of this pullback, which would have been this candle, and you would have definitely got the 1-to-1. However, if you were to trade like I trade, and you would have taken the entry here, you would have gotten stopped out at right this point, right? So if that were to happen now, I'm looking for another entry, and this is where the zone comes in, right? And that's why it's important you extend it. So this zone comes out, sorry, price comes down to this zone, and then we get push up. Now anytime it comes back into the zone, you have to start asking yourself, well, where's discount, right? Was it at 250, or is it at 281 and a quarter? At this point, I probably would have been looking at 312 and a half, right around here. Like when price moves down this, I'm going to say quickly, you got to analyze it fast enough to determine where your entry point is going to be. If you said to yourself that this was discount, then you would immediately have a buy order sitting right here at 312 and a half, which would have given you a 3-to-1 return. However, if you're too late or if you're looking for that pullback, which would have came up here at about 1044, you would have taken your entry at 375. It gives you a 1-to-1. And then this is the part where you got to ask yourself, is price going to go up higher? And if that's the case, you're going to have to hold your trade through this. Right? And if you notice, at times I'll move my stop loss to break even, which takes me out. But there are instances where if you believe that price will go up higher and price will come down, get support off this last swing high and push up, then you can get that 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 return. So that's something to really look for. Now let's move on to yesterday. So yesterday, I'd drawn out this zone as well as this. I don't think I drew out this zone until afterwards, but this zone I drew out. This one was already drawn out from this previous day, which would have been Friday, and price came down, Price came down. I drew this zone out. And at this point, you want to identify the direction of the price. And right now, at this point, you notice the 80 EMAs above and the 50 EMAs below. So that's telling me that sellers are in control. Even if price breaks it, to me, sellers are still in control. And price eventually did break it. If this was a zone that you drawn off the 5-minute and you told yourself that, yeah, this is discount, your entry would be here at 187.5, or you could target this area up here at 218 3/4 for a 2-to-1 return, or you want to play it safe, a 1-to-1 return, because we're getting into this zone. And then price started retracing again. Now this price started retracing, and I was looking for this higher low. I thought about taking the entry. Once again, I didn't. So you just got to make that decision, because at this point, I told myself that sellers were still in control, so I'm still looking for the shorts. So price comes down to this 15-minute demand zone, and then we get a push back up. I was looking at this area for an entry long, but once again chose not to. And I think at this point I'd shut off my desktop and I was leaving for work. Now, if you notice, sellers were definitely still in control and pushed price even lower. Now, an area that I would have looked for a short probably would have been here. I'm looking for the pullback. Unless I saw something off the MNQ, then probably a short even earlier, possibly here. But as you can see, you can take a short here at 31.25. That's 29,031.25. Take the short position, and I believe it gives you about 9-to-1 return. Obviously, I would have been looking at this zone for possible reversal. I'd probably set my stop loss around here or even here. And as you notice, it took out the low, Friday's low, and went, actually no, that wasn't Friday's low. This would be Friday's low. So it took out the first low that I drew, and then it didn't quite take out this low. So now at this point, now you notice the zone that I drew, I did have it extended. Now for those that are looking for a retracement, you're looking for certain candles or patterns. Now this one we get an engulfing candle, right? And price pushes up, but then we get the rejection off the 50 EMA. We come down here, we get that engulfing candle once again, and price pushes up. That's when you can start targeting. For the long position, we do get a pullback here, which you can start looking for the long position. And I think you're probably getting what? 11-to-1 return, right? So if that's what you're targeting, 11-to-1 return is great. Okay, market is just about to open. Let's look at these areas. So this is an area that I targeted this morning, as well as this area. I thought about taking an entry right here at 250. Chose not to. Would have gotten a 1-to-1 return. Definitely would have been sweating it at this point. Let's see what price does. Anytime price starts entering a zone, I'm anticipating what it'll do. Whether it'll get support and start reversing. And that's when you want to start targeting, where are your entries going to be? Or you might tell yourself that price will break through and maybe your entry will be down here. And if that's the case, I'll probably look for short down here. Like, even though the zones are drawn out, they're not set in stone. Okay, so of the MNQ sellers are in control right now. Like, if I think this is discount 1875, I would put a buy order for it to take us long, or take me up long. Now, price could break this, come down, and fake me out, and then push back up. So if I do have a sell order at this point, will that be 1875 to 18 and 3/4? Yeah, that's something I have to be aware of. I might look, if that's what I'm thinking, I probably look for a 1-to-1. But if I believe price can get down here, I'll definitely hold for 3-to-1. Let's take a quick look at the 5-minute. So I don't have it drawn out here, but these are the areas I would be targeting. This off the 5-minute. I'll grab the wick of that bullish candle. And this is that area I was looking at. Price wicked it. And this is what you're seeing off my tick chart, the 1597 tick chart. You can use the 2000 tick chart if you like. I prefer the 1597. There are other platforms though that it's just set at specific numbers and you can't change them, such as Top Step. For those of you who don't know, I am using NinjaTrader as my platform to execute. put in a sell order. This might be another pullback. A price could come to my order and then just pop back out. So that's a possibility. See if we get a rejection off this swing low. Hopefully all this wicking is telling me the price is going to continue down. Okay, I'm going to move my take profit down for 2 to 1. Alright, so I lost that trade. Let's see if we can find another entry. Like I said, price did break down. Price did come down from 8 to 1875, get to 187.50, and then it popped back up to take me out. So Yeah, those are the things you have to expect to happen, and we move on to the next trade. So at this point, we definitely don't want to be chasing. The setup's got to be there. Or, once again, I'll just call it a day. We'll see how things work out for the next 45 minutes. Hopefully something develops. So let's look at the 5 minutes. See what happens. So price did close below it. So I want everybody here to also understand that this zone here can also become a resistance zone as well and push price lower, right? So even though it didn't get the support, it could also become a zone to push price lower. So I do have a pullback off the MNQ. For a long position. Yeah, my entry should have been at this point here, right? Because I got that pullback. This should have been the entry. But instead I chose this as the entry. And identified this area as possible pullback, which was not. Okay, so at this point here, I might target this zone again for another short. Even though that's this far away, right? This pullback. I'm hoping to see something off the MNQ. So had I taken that entry here, would have gone the 1-to-1 already. I chose not to. we're getting the cross art here from the 1580, which is signaling that sellers are coming in. Does that mean it's going to constantly go all the way down? Not necessarily. So does it hurt to see price come down to this level, knowing I said I'd look at an enter here? Definitely does. However, it's not enough where it's going to prevent me from taking any trades or making a bad decision to enter a trade knowing I'd missed the entry, right? That's something you don't want playing into your mind. So right now we're in 2-to-1 return, heading for 3-to-1 possibly. Three-to-one return right now. Had I been in a trade, it looks like we're gonna take the low out, possibly even go lower. Right now I'm not seeing anything off the M and Q. There was one spot, but decided not to. So this rejection here, something I didn't note, which pushed it down further. Now it did say the zone can become a resistance zone as well as a support zone, which was the outcome. Now, if I choose to take an entry here, I really need to be careful, because we're literally, if I'm choosing to take a short position, like price can once again just come down to 62.5 and then literally take me out. But I think if there's more room for price to go further down, and that's my belief, then I'll take that trade. Because there's this, we can come all the way down here, which is a possibility, which is 28,750. But once again, we're in my zone, right? So now we're still looking for shorts. So this is the other thing you have to think about, right? Once it comes down to the zone, which I didn't even talk about, I have to ask myself, you know, is this discount? This is the 15-minute demand zone, right? So entry would probably be for a long at 125, right? 29,125 would be the entry long. So you have to constantly be thinking as price is moving and the zones that you've drawn out. Put in a sell order to possibly go even lower. Let's see what happens here. You take an entry long here at 29,125. You'd be looking for at least, I'd say at least a 1-to-1 you're looking for. Yeah, so you would have got it, right? But you got got to be thinking ahead. A 3-to-1 definitely would have been nice. Okay, let's see if we're going to start seeing a reversal. Let's look at the 5 minutes. I'm not seeing anything there. We definitely won't see anything off the 15. Yeah, this was a zone that I drew out off the 15. I use this bullish candle here. Let's see, I'll send it back to the 5. Now price comes back and taps this swing high. I definitely consider a long position. We'll see what price does. Now, if the 5 minute isn't looking good, I could look at the 1 minute, right? So that 5 minute candle is just too massive. You could look at the 1 minute. So a zone I could look at off the 1 minute would be around this area here, right? For any support to come in. And sometimes that 1 minute does come into play, so it doesn't hurt to draw it out. But at the same time, you don't want to be tied to it, right? Just like any zone, price can break through it. I would have got the 2-to-1 up here. So I'm just going to pull these back for now. Or you can just eliminate them. Okay, this price is going to retrace. We're looking at these levels here. There was a pullback of the MNQ. Three to one return if your entry was at 29, 125. Still getting a good return at 156 and a quarter. And I'll be honest, this era back here, I've seen this move before, but my mind wasn't doing the calculations quick enough. So that's just something you have to get better at. This is why you want to be on the screen for at least 2, maybe 3 hours, right? Just back testing so that you understand how the the instrument moves, whether that's the ES or the NQ. I know they're relatively similar, but I just generally stick with the NASDAQ. So right now we're showing that sellers have come in and they're trying to push it down. This was the area I highlighted that price could bounce off, and this is the 1 minute. Let's just change the color. Okay, so this is the 1 minute right now. Maybe I'll change the opacity even further down to 5%. Okay. So price could come down here maybe a couple times and then push back up. That's a possibility. Price starts struggling around here. That could be a sign that price may move even lower. So this was yesterday's low. Like I said, that is a possibility. The next zone I'd be looking at is around here. Even looking back here, you can analyze it and think to yourself, you know, when the candle started moving down, we were getting strong momentum pushing downwards too, as you can tell from these candles, and that's definitely an indication of price moving that direction. So right now, sellers are still in control of the MNQ. Now down here, we're slightly at the 0 for the MACD. I mean, once again, I don't like targeting the previous swing high when it's this far back, because my entry for long would be 218.75. See, price starts going sideways here, or is there another push lower? So right now, if the MNQ price is consolidating. I'm looking for a breakout. So anytime you get into a position where you have, say, consecutive losses, obviously this isn't, but the momentum is like a win here, a loss there, a win here, and a loss there. You can't rush the process. That's where you're gonna be forcing trades and start losing. And also you could also start overthinking your trades, which most traders are susceptible to. It's happened to me. Looks like price is struggling to move up. At 6 and 10 EMA are keeping price at this point right now. Anytime you get these pullbacks, right? Like I drew it here, I also drew it here as well. Once I've identified as being the pullback, you can start targeting. Had I taken a trade here, it definitely would have been a loss. But it just shows to show you that, you know, it doesn't always work out. And this was a late entry. My entry should have been back here. So you can just go over your trades too in terms of, you know, what you did wrong and what you can do better next time. And even highlight those errors and take screenshots for yourself. Like the way I journal, I would take screenshots and I would write down things I could look for or do better at that point in time. Let's see if we can get any type of movement within the next half hour to hour. If not, I'm just gonna call it a day. I might look at trading again at after 6 p.m. So anybody that trades, if you're taking a trade after 6 p.m., because the market closes for an hour, right, between 5 and 6. If you're taking after 6, that is considered the next day. Had I taken a trade from last night, it would have still shown up on my account as being green and still active for this day. So anytime you hear me referring to as yesterday's low of day or today's low of day, and I'm highlighting that anything after 6 p.m., that's what I'm referring to. And this is the part where you don't wanna be taking any trades. When it's consolidating like this, you just gotta wait it out. price does come back to this level again, I gotta think that it's a possible area of support to push price up. However, right now, what the 1580 EMA is showing me, you know, it's kind of opposing, right? Like sellers right now look like they're the ones in control. We still have that nice gap, consistent gap through there. See if there's a rejection off this 50 EMA. Could target the swing low. Price will pull back. Target that for an entry short at 29,125. just a side note, how I took the loss, or when I took the loss here. It can make you hesitate in terms of taking the next entry, since I got burned by this loss, right? And that's something you can't let happen. Because this obviously has happened to me before, and I know it's going to happen again. But when the next setup comes, you have to take it. Because more often than not, it's going to work out. Like, even if you go back and you look at the video and you hear me clearly say what was going to happen, that's what exactly happened. And that's how well I know this instrument, the NASDAQ. Enough to know that I'm going to take those losses. And it'll be fine. Because once again, there will be other trades. Now we're getting a rejection again off that 1580. But we do have this higher low, which could be signaling a move up. So you notice what's happening in terms of my thoughts, right? In terms of what price is doing. We're getting higher lows as well off these candles. Notice the direction. If I'm looking for a long position, I'd like price to break this previous swing high all the way back here. Let's see what the 5 minute is doing right now. This is the 1 minute. Let's look at the 5 minute. Not getting anything off the 5 minute. No, not the 15 either. Let's see if we can get anything within the next 13 minutes, anything. As you notice, I'm not forcing any trades right now. I'm just sitting on my hands and knees right now, looking for confirmation. but at the same time I'm still constantly analyzing what can or what will happen. So since I took a loss today, I have to be careful too of the amount of drawdown I have. Now, price does come back down here. I will be targeting it possible for a long position back up. I know even though right now sellers are in control, I'm going to focus on this area and look for an entry long. That's if it comes back down here though. And if not, I'm going to look for support somewhere up here for a long position. Like I said, I'd like to see price break this area here, back here. Maybe I can get some kind of pullback up here. I don't know if I'd look for an entry. I got to pull back in this zone here between 218.75 and 187.50. Between here, I don't know if I'd take a long position. I mean, these lower highs, right? Because once again, pricing just come up here and then just start going back down and then get to this zone, right? So I mean, the setup happens here, I definitely have to consider it. I'm looking at the MNQ right now for a pullback. Not really getting a pullback. As you notice, just the way I'm talking right now are the things I'm looking for in order to make that entry. getting a pullback off the MNQ. But it has to be, it's got to be clean, right? Yeah, so it's not. So what I'll target, I don't think price will come back here. Get support off here and push up. So I'm always looking for the last swing high. Price, I said, did have to break above here. And hopefully the 50 or the 80 and the 50 may possibly cross somewhere up here and start moving up. This could just be a straight move all the way up. So if that's the case, then, well, we got to trade another day. So I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm guessing for the entry. You want to be entering off the criteria that you put in place. Yeah, it's not a clean pullback, no clean pullbacks. Yeah, so if we're not getting anything here, I think I'm going to call it a day. Let's just see. I'll put in a buy order. We do take an entry long, it'll be at 281 and a quarter. I do have a pullback off the MNQ. So that is what I'm going off of if we are running it back up. If I don't like what I'm seeing, I'll just take that order off. Let's look at the 5. Okay, so we're in the zone again. Currently the MACD, we're above the 0 slightly. Now the 80 and 50 looks as though they could be heading towards a cross. Not that I'm relying on the cross, right? I would have preferred the cross happen back here somewhere, right? And then we start getting that nice even gap in between the 50 and 80 MA. This previous swing high, price can come here and get support to go longer, to go higher, to go higher. And there's always a possibility price will wick this area and then push up. At this point, I'm not so crazy about this position, but I'll show you yesterday's trade where you could have taken, or where you would have taken that position and you would have had to wait, which would have been around here, right? So you get that pullback and you're waiting and waiting. What's that? 316, 330, that's a 15-minute wait. So we're getting support off the 10 and the 6 EMA. Let's see if that's enough to push price higher. Price is struggling right around this range. At least off the M and Q, it's shown that it's struggling, and that's at what? 260. 29,260, it's struggling. So price could break through here, create a lower high, and then move even lower. so we got this bounce off this swing high. Let's see if anything comes of it. I would like to see stronger move, push up. And I'm getting support off the 50 EMA off the MNQ. Buyers are coming in. I do like what I'm seeing. Alright, I need this candle to close high. Now the question is, if it do take a fill, I gotta ask myself whether or not that 1-to-1 may be all that I can get. Like, just because I have these zones up here doesn't mean it's gonna get there, right? Like, if I think price can only get up to 312 and then start retracing on that, I gotta take that. So I'd like to see a strong push. When price is struggling, unless it makes me hesitant, right? Whenever it's near my entry. I would prefer retrace back here and then push up. Yeah, now I'm not so sure, right? Even though I said, I would like price to come back here and then push up. Unless this area is the area that I'm identifying as being an area of strength to push price higher. I am getting a little divergence, I am getting divergence off the MNQ from the MACD. You have to be aware of those details. So had I taken an entry here, that definitely would have been another loss. The price filled me at that level. So now we're getting the cross from the 80 and 50. Which can easily just change and go downwards. So don't ever buy into that cross as your entry point. Now price can hold here and move back up. I do like that for a long position. That's why I still have it here. I'm just seeing where price can get support from. At least if it touches twice, right? Then I like that position. Like right now, this doesn't mean a whole lot to me. This cross here. I need to see what's happening from this last area. And for those of you who have watched enough of my videos, realize I don't trade the EMA crosses, whether that's the 6 and the 10 or the 50 and the 80. Generally, I look at those EMAs for support and for resistance. Right, if nothing's going to happen between the next 20 minutes, I'm definitely going to call it a day. We'll take another trade tomorrow, right? Now if it creates another lower high right around here and starts moving downwards, I'll definitely consider looking at a sell position. Currently, buyers are in control off the MNQ. Now, had I taken a loss up here and price were to go back up here, I would entertain a long position again at that point. Just like back here, right? Where I hesitated and I didn't take the short. And that's where I took my loss, right? Entry here, loss here. Entry here, I should have taken that entry. Okay, right now, I still like what I see. And let's see if we can get some momentum to push up. Or is this going to be a fake out and come back down and take me out? smile about it because it's, you know, like I said, it's happened to me before, so, but not enough to make me go on tilt. But for those who are trading for the first time, that'll be your reaction, is to win it back right away. But you also learn from your mistakes, just as I have. But in time, it'll definitely make you a better trader, and as they say, you'll be a better loser for it. Now, what could happen here? This area create what's referred to as a double top. You've heard of that before, and that could definitely push price down. Not in love with how this candle's closing. I would have preferred to see a hammer candle. So at this point, I'd probably looking at taking the order off. Yeah, we got a doji. That's not what I wanted. Or that's not what I wanted to see. We can get a lower high at this point. I'm a little cautious though, like, because right now price looks like it's consolidating once again, right? Like it can come up here and then go back down, right, and take me out. Like, this is consolidation. I'd like to see a higher low, just like down here, right? This is what I like to see in order for price to go higher. One rejection, two rejection. The third one I'm not crazy about. Let's see how this candle closes. Or does it fill me? it closes as an inverted hammer, I'll consider taking off the order. What I mean by is, like, if it's closing like this candle here, this is what I don't want to see. It's just showing that buyers can't take it any higher. So it's getting support from the 6 and the 10 EMA. Now, once again, I'm at risk because price is going sideways, right? Like price is going sideways right now. So it could just tap me in and then come back down and take me out. Now, considering that I'm aware of that and I still have my order there, I'm willing to take the chance on the long position. I mean, I say that now, I could change it within the next second or two. I mean, we're getting this separation from the 1580. That's what I like to see. I want to see the constant gapping. We're above the 50 right now. The MACD. We got the higher lows right now. Though we got quite a bit of resistance around here. We've entered. I'd like to see strong momentum off this candle. Got support from the 6 and the 10 EMA off the last candle. I'd like price to at least get up to here. So I'm willing to risk a possible 1-to-1 return for the 2-to-1, which could be my downfall, but we'll see. Because if that's the case, I won't have that much for drawdown. Because it'll be at least 2 L's in a row, right? The thing that I can do is move this at break even, right? So the 1-to-1's there. Could move it to break even. break even, just slightly above it. I mean, it'd be great if it can take out today's high up here, right up here. We can get a bullish candle to come in off the M and Q. I set my target for the 2 to 1. Sometimes you may have just set it higher than what you're looking for, literally one tick, and you miss it. So be careful where you put your take profit. could move the stop loss to this point and at least keep what I have made. So price does go back on me. Or at least make back what I lost, sorry. Because right now I do have a loss. Okay, so made back what I lost and a slight profit. Once again, I was targeting these areas for possible reversal. This is the first zone, second zone, and in a perfect world, this is what I would actually be looking at. Somewhere up here at 2937 and a half is where I would be targeting. It's unfortunate that we took a loss a little earlier, but and it didn't let that stop me from taking another entry. That is an entry with the right confluence. Let's see if price will go up to this level of 375, 29,375. This wasn't quite the pullback that I was looking for, but nonetheless, I mean, I'm happy that this candle closed higher, right? But yeah, it just goes to show you, you don't panic. Wait for the next setup and take your entry. Because my loss was way back here at, what time was that? At 9:41, right? And once again, I wasn't even identifying this. That's the other thing too, right? Like sometimes you're caught up in the previous loss that it's preventing you from thinking clearly and to analyze, okay, what's going to happen next? I got to be ready for the next order, right? And in my mind, I did say, yeah, I was looking for this entry. If price came back to this part, I'll take an entry short. But I was hesitating, and then it just went without me. And at that point, too, it kind of paralyzed my thoughts as well. Because at this point, I'm not thinking, right? And the minute that happened, I shouldn't have been looking at it as, oh, I just missed an opportunity. Versus, okay, what's going to happen next? Well, this is my next zone, and that's where I should have been thinking right away, right? If this is discount, where's the entry I'm going to take? This would be the entry. And there's going to be some drawdown. I'm getting 3-to-1 back. Best case scenario, I'll make that back. I'll get the 1-to-1, right? And then we'll look for another entry. Another worst case scenario is I take the entry here. I still get my 1-to-1 back. But yeah, you can't let losses stop you from figuring out what the next move is. And that's happened to me so often. And once again, as you notice, it's happened again. So don't let that stop you. Keep getting better at your analysis. I told you the reasons why I took the entry here from what I was seeing. All the details matter. And yeah, so that's it for today. I will see everybody here tomorrow.